So here we are. Today then, what I'm going to be talking about is having some thoughts that I've had this week. And I don't know if you know, or maybe I've said it before, I've moved house recently and we are now settling into our new home. And I have realised the amount of stuff that I have. A lot of it I don't need. I don't need now. I don't need next week. I don't need next month. I don't need next year. I just have it. And it got me thinking. It got me thinking whether I am a collector, sounds very American that, a collector or a creator. And am I a bit of both? And I'm not making any statements about being a collector or a creator as being bad or strange or whatever or indifferent. I have just come up with those two words because they begin with C, collector and creator. And I wondered if I was one or the other. I certainly am a collector. So what I found out I've collected, and this is things, I have collected t-shirts. I seem to have more t-shirts than Marks and Spencer's. In my house. I also collect pens, mostly pens that I've borrowed from somewhere. Are you a borrower? Do you borrow things from hotels or conference centres or training that you've been on? Or, you know, when you go to one of those trade shows or whatever, you can't help yourself but to take one of the free pens? Well, I have hundreds of those pens. Glasses seem to be another thing. Not these glasses as in drinking glasses. I don't know why we seem to have ended up with lots of glasses that maybe you get when you buy a case of wine at Christmas and you get 2 free glasses. Or we've got glasses that we didn't know we had, but they were in the garage. And now that they can't be in the garage, they've got to go in a cupboard. So we've got lots of glasses. So we now have a glass recycle bin, which is going to be recycled. But anyway, enough of that. That's what I came to the conclusion of, am I a collector or a creator? So I certainly am a creator because I do this sort of thing, don't I? I speak here live and on video and do training and various things. And I'm creating stuff and there's people creating stuff, as I mentioned earlier. So here's some thoughts then, some success strategies around collector or creator. And I've got 5 of each because I normally do my 5 of things. So because I'm not favouring one or the other, I'm going to go with creator tip and then a collector tip. And that's what I'm going to do. So are we ready? Here are 10 tips, not usually 5, 10 tips. So creator, how can you be more of a creator? Well, writing things down. We know when you write things, there's a connection between your hands and your brain, and the synapses in your brains get built and you're using your senses. So as a creator, here's a tip. Why don't you get yourself a little pad, and you can get them anywhere. You can get them in the pound shop or the dollar store or wherever you go to. Or you can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone, even in the notes application. And you've all got those for different products that you have. So creator, how about this? Every day, write down 10 ideas on anything. 10 ideas to find a solution to something. So, for example, in my life, 10 ways to get rid of cardboard. Yeah, we've got lots of it at the moment. 10 ways to make the house feel like home. And you think to yourself, oh, 10, that's a lot, Steve. That's a lot of things to do. Well, actually, I find when I do this type of exercise, I get to about 7 and then I run out of steam. So I then push myself to write something, and you can write anything. You can write anything you want. It doesn't have to make sense. It can be rubbish, but as long as you get those 10 things. So that's tip number 1 for being a creator. What about tip number 2 for being a collector? Well, here's a question. Why do you collect? What do you get out of it? So people who collect stamps, you can hear a very big noise outside my new house here. This is a gentleman who collects motorbikes. So sorry about that. Collector, why do you collect? What do you get from it? So people who collect stamps, they get real pleasure looking at those stamps, maybe tracking history, maybe see where they've come from. Were you a collector when you were a child, when you collect football stickers, maybe? But why do you collect? What do you get from it? And really celebrate that. Now, I'm not talking about things like, you know, what pens and things I've talked about. I'm talking about when people have collections. Okay, number 3. Well, it's actually tip number 2 for being a creator. Creating memories, creating memories and moments, not days. You know, when you go out for a day out, Do you collect it as a moment? Do you celebrate the small things with regard to that memory and that? Because that's what your brain does. Your brain doesn't collect the whole picture. What your brain does, it collects a snapshot and then builds on the picture. So many times when people have had a great memory and they've created that in their head, they've taken a snapshot and they've heard the sounds, or maybe they've felt it inside. And then what happens is your brilliant brain builds the picture around it. So take time to take memory snapshots as a creator. Collector. Collector, organize. Oh yeah, get organized. You collect, but be organized, because when you're not organized, that's when your collection becomes a burden and maybe goes into clutter. Okay, so organize, get your labeler out, get your sticky pad, get your boxes. That's what I've been doing, and it's great because once you start looking at your collections, you start to decide what you do need and what you don't need. Here's a creator tip. Have you got a vision board? Do you use a vision board to put what you want out and make it in your face and you see it, using pictures and words? Do you have it in front of you? I have a window in front of me. That's why there's a bit of strange lighting at the moment. But, I do have on my iPad actually a vision board where I put pictures of what I am aspiring to have and be and what I want in life, that be, do, have. So, rather than having first what you want to be and what you want to do and the experiences you want to have, and then what do you want to have? Right, we're getting there, aren't we? Collector of memories. We talked a little about this earlier, but do you use something that most of us have every day to collect things? And I'm talking about a mobile phone. I do not know anyone who doesn't have a mobile phone with a camera on it, okay? So what about collecting a picture a day for the next 10 days? And then maybe posting it or sharing it with somebody, or sharing something happy with somebody, something that made you smile. I was in a sort of an antique place yesterday, and I saw I can't even remember what it said now, to be honest with you, like a statement, and it made me smile. So I took a picture of it because I can look back at that again. Right then, we're getting to nearly the end. Creating who you are, okay? Who are you? What's your identity? So when people say, what do you do? Or who are you? You tend to talk about your job. I tend to say, oh, I'm a management whatever, or I'm a leadership in education, or I'm a trainer or whatever. And you talk about your job. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But who are you? How are you being? Okay. So how are you? So I am a motivator. I am a person that does great things. So create your identity, that positive identity. And maybe each day, post that somewhere where you can see that you are a creator of you. You create you. You decide what your beliefs are. You decide what your values are. And when you put your beliefs and values together, they tend to be our identity. So when people say things like, for example, I'm a non-smoker, that's okay, but it's a bit negative, isn't it? I don't smoke is a better statement. When people talk about, weight loss, for example, I am overweight. Okay, negative. What about is I am healthy and fit, or I am motivating myself to be healthy and fit. Something to think about, you creators. Collector. Do you collect what's going well in your life? Do you collect the positives? So maybe you get a review on your book and it's fantastic. Do you store that somewhere so you can see it and remind yourself? Where do those positive comments go? Somebody pays you a compliment. Somebody says, Steve, I like your hairstyle. Not many people say that to me, by the way, but they say, Steve, I like your hairstyle. Oh, wow, I was complimented on my hairstyle today. Write that down. And the last two things for being a creator and a collector. The first one, if you're a creator, if you make things, you do things, you write things, put it out there, share it with people. One of the fantastic things about what I do here is I put it out there, I share it with people. I know people like what I say and what I do because I get lots of wonderful comments back. But part of me says, if only one person was watching me and they got only 1% of what I was saying and they really enjoyed it and they used it as I've used it, and I use all these things I say and I share, that's made my day. That's made me smile. And, as a creator, putting it out there is probably one of the most joyous things I do. So if you are writing a book, put it out there. If you do great things, you work with the charity, you work with amazing people, put it out there. And the last one for me, collector. Collector, do you collect what you are grateful for? Now, I know it's old self-development, personal development, that thing, the mystical stuff about personal development. And everyone, they always say, oh, you must write down what you're grateful for and you must be grateful for what you do. You know why they do it in most of the personal development books, why they say it? It's because it's true. Right, there's that man with a bike again outside. I'm grateful for him because he has reminded me about passion. He's reminded me about his hobby, what he does. I'm grateful for that sound. You're probably not grateful for it because it's getting in the way of what I'm doing, but I'm grateful for hearing that motorbike going past. So, in those self-development books, they all start with gratitude. And the reason why is because it works. Gratitude is probably one of the best motivators ever. And if you do have a gratitude journal and you do write things down or you put it on your phone, like I said at the start when I was talking about creator, and you may be creating lists, why not have your gratitude list? 3 things a day that you're grateful for. 3 things that you're grateful for. So I'm grateful for spending this time with you, but I've got to go because I've got stuff to do. But I'll pop all them in the chat so you can read them again. Maybe tell me in the chat what you thought about my session today. If you've watched me at another time, #replay, pop that in the chat. If you're watching me live, put a comment in, say hi, maybe share some of your ideas and some of the things that I've talked about with you today.